everybody, and welcome to Retro Gamer Ranting. I am your host, Twitch, and this is episode 10. And as promised, this is going to be the big Goldeneye Wii review. I'm kind of excited about that. Me and my brother-in-law, Mad Dog, have been playing for most of the night multiplayer. A lot of highs and lows. Right now is probably not a good time to actually review this game because we're kind of losing a lot. So we're going to give it a break and actually review this. I figured I'd have him come in here and kind of help me with the review a bit because he kind of gives a slightly different look at the game. We've both played it almost the entire month. I gave it to him as an early Christmas present. And I've had it since day one on October 2nd. So he's been playing it. We both played through single player. He's been playing through multiplayer. I've been playing through multiplayer. So between the two of us, we were able to find pros and cons between everything. So it ought to be interesting having a special guest on here. Quick note, this is going to be my second to last episode of the season. I'm going to do 11 episodes. I wanted to end on 10, but like I said, I promised a Goldeneye review. I was thinking of holding it off and doing the Goldeneye review at the start of my second season, but I figured not because I've just been building up to it so much that I figure I might as well do it. So I'll have one more episode, I think. Maybe not. Maybe this will be the last one. I think I'll do one more episode, maybe a quick episode, to wrap up the season, and then probably take most of December, maybe part of January off, and then start up a new season, Season 2. So that's kind of exciting, and I'm glad I've got this far, because it's been really fun. While he's finishing up the multiplayer match in there, I figured I'd start this off. Goldeneye on the Wii, right off the bat, I'm going to say, this game is not like the original. It is a re-imaging, and Eurocom stressed that from the very beginning, and people should recognize this. People going into this game thinking it is going to be an exact replica or at least a remake of the original Goldeneye on the N64 are going to be sorely disappointed. Now, it doesn't make this a bad game. The best way to look at this when going into this game is that it is just that, a re-imaging. But I also realize when playing this game that's not just a re-imaging of Goldeneye, it's also sort of an example of what has happened since the original Goldeneye since 1996, how first-person shooters on a console have evolved since then. And it sort of goes from what it used to be on the N64 up through what has happened since then, all the Halos, all the Call of Duties, the Kill Zones, the Unreal Tournaments, the Quakes, the whatever. And that's the best way to look at this going into it, that it is an example of what Goldeneye has brought upon us, of how the first-person shooter world has evolved since then. And I'm going to give you that disclaimer right off the bat. And I think going into the game thinking that way, you're going to enjoy this game a lot more. I know I've talked with a lot of people who are very skeptical at work and other places that were just like, and seeing, of course, all the negative comments online, basically going, this isn't at all like the original. It's an awesome game. It's the best first-person shooter I've probably played on the Wii, and on any system in quite some time. Okay, and without further ado, let's get to the review itself. Joining me right now is my brother-in-law, Mad Dog. Like I commented before, he has played this game through single player and multiplayer. Hello, Mad Dog. How are you today?
Hello. Awesome.
This is going to be fun. A little experiment I'm trying here. See how this is. We're going to kind of bounce off each other here. We both enjoy the game thoroughly, but it'll be interesting to see how our different play styles. I grew up playing different first-person shooters than he has, so it'll be kind of fun. Anyway, the campaign we'll start off with, a single-player campaign. Probably the best single-player campaign I have played in a long time. I know you've played different kinds before. Did you enjoy the single-player campaign as much as I did, I think?
I did. I enjoyed it. It had a good story. Flowed well.
Now, the original Goldeneye, I know you didn't play compared to me, but I enjoyed the storyline on this compared to the original Goldeneye movie. Like, if the original Goldeneye movie would have had this storyline, I would have went to see that.
Oh, yeah,
I think
definitely.
And we did recently watch the Goldeneye movie, so we were able to make fun of that, and I did. Although Alec Trevelyan, I think his name is, had slightly different motivations in the this version of Goldeneye than he did in the original movie, but I think it was pretty good. The AI, I think, was excellent in the single-player campaign. It was probably the best I've played in a while. What do you
I
think?
agree, because it wasn't too hard, but at the same time, it gave you a challenge.
Yeah, it did. And I was blown back by a couple of different things that they programmed into it. One of my favorite things, they take cover, they dive for cover. This one moment that kind of took me back was an area where I completely eliminated a room except for one bad guy, and I wanted to run up and pretty much melee him out. But he pretty much saw me coming. He went running for the door, and as he was running away from me, he was flailing his arm backwards, shooting at me at the same time, blindly. And that was just such a weird, original kind of AI quirk. It just seemed so good, and you just don't see that very well. Like, especially in the Call of Duty games, they just seem kind of convoluted and not very well. I like the option between stealth and being able to go in guns blazing. That was kind of fun. I used a lot of stealth. I know you're more of a
Rambo, yes.
Rambo,
definitely.
yeah. You were definitely more of a gunfighter. Did you think the gunfights were too hard, or do you think they were just right?
I think they were just right. They weren't too hard. As long as you don't leave your flanks open, you're good.
Yeah, and there was options for strategy, like I said, and they had certain areas had disintegrating cover, which was kind of cool. Which oddly they didn't transfer over to multiplayer, which I thought was kind of disappointing. But I can get to that later. But you can usually tell what areas are going to stay completely solid and which ain't. It's more kind of like a gimmick, but it's not like one of those gimmicks that they relied on. But it was still kind of cool. Like you couldn't stay in one area for too long. The different difficulties are kind of nifty. You can just start off on easy mode and just fly through the game. They have a classic mode that kind of brings back the old one where you don't have regenerative health and you have to look for armor, which that's one of the things. They borrowed a lot from Call of Duty, I'd have to say. Like, insanely. And this was an Activision game, so you can see what they were going at here. You have to aim down your sights for better accuracy. You throw grenades, you have to cook grenades, all that good stuff. Single player, no grenades. Odd. Very odd. No grenades in single player. Multiplayer, there are grenades. I kind of found that to be kind of weird. The level design was great. I loved the new levels they threw in. The graphics were probably the best I've seen on a Wii for a first-person shooter. It's not going to blow anyone away who's used to the high-definition kind of graphics, but they put a lot of detail in. Everything from particle effects to just little debris flying through stuff, and which can be distracting at times. But I think they did great with bloom lighting, destructible environment. The player models looked excellent, had great voice acting and motion capture, I would have to say. Definitely some of the best. Cons I'll get to for single player, some frame rate issues in the later levels, but not all that bad. I didn't run into too many issues with it, did you?
No, it's once in a while, but only when you're not being smart about it.
Now, I kind of ran into some cheap AI. Like, I had those moments where I felt like just my shoulder was poking out and they were still able to hit me, which was kind of frustrating because I was trying to hide behind cover to regenerate my health. This happens a lot more later on in the levels where you just swarmed by bad guys. But it's more of an extra challenge, I suppose, just trying to get to cover that's not going to crumble. And there are some people complain about the AI being a bit lame at times because you can stealthily take out an enemy that's standing next to another enemy, and the second enemy won't even notice. But I don't know. I think that's kind of fun in stealth myself. I mentioned this before. You can't throw grenades or use any mines, which that was in the original game. I don't understand why you can't. You can do that in every other game. Why there's no grenades in single player, that would have really helped in some of the other things. So, I don't know. Did that bother you? You had no grenades in single player?
I could use it on a few occasions.
Exactly, yeah. Dark levels, one of our biggest gripes. Early on and going on from there, some of the later levels are a little brighter, but I honestly missed a staircase in one level. I think it was like the outpost level because I couldn't see it. It was too dark. And that was my biggest gripe, I think, about it, is the level design was great, but it was a bit too dark at times. I mean, did you run into a couple areas where you got stuck?
I couldn't find my way, yes. I got lost because I couldn't see the door.
And this is, of course, a personal thing on my part. Daniel Craig makes a horrible Bond. I don't like him as Bond. My dad hates him as Bond. I mentioned Daniel Craig to him, and I saw rage fill his eyes because he's been a long-time James Bond fan. He pretty much sounds like he phones in his voice acting in this game. He's pretty much the worst voice actor in the game. Everyone else does a stellar game. He's the only recognizable face. Everyone else has been recasted from the original movie for the most part. No one you're going to recognize. The only one you're going to recognize is, of course, Daniel Craig. This isn't too bad of a problem because it's not like a third-person shooter or anything. You're a first-person shooter, so you don't have to stare at Daniel Craig and get mad the whole time. So, that's not too bad. Some of my favorite levels, I enjoyed the tank level. I enjoyed some of the later, the jungle level was great. I managed to stealth my way all the way through the jungle level. I enjoyed that. What was some of your favorite moments in single player?
I definitely enjoyed the tank. I just enjoyed the mayhem I created.
Did you play it multiple times just for the mayhem?
Of course I did.
Yeah. I actually had just the opposite. The first time I played the tank level, I got frustrated, I think, because I ended up getting stuck on some scenery with the tank. And I'm sitting there going, this is a tank! Why am I getting stuck on this? So I ended up getting angry at that level, but I ended up playing it through a second time and enjoyed myself a lot better, realizing, it was just me being stupid. But the tank level was definitely a high point. A lot of the levels were just stellar. I didn't get frustrated too much. One of the levels from the original Goldeneye does crop up where you have to protect Natalia, I think her name is, towards the very end. That's frustrating as all hell, just like last time. They do it in a more unique way than the original game, but after that it gets pretty tense. The last level is a very intense level, and you'll find yourself swearing and cussing, but when you are done with the very last area of the game, you will feel like you accomplished something at least. It's not one of those games where you're just like, well, that was exhausting and I didn't have fun. A lot of people didn't like the real-time events. I've seen in reviews and stuff. I enjoyed them. I don't know. Did you like the fight scenes? There's a couple of fight scenes where you kind of do a real-time event.
That caught me off guard the first time, but it kind of added something to it.
I thought it was the coolest fight scenes I've seen in a video game.
Yes.
From a first-person's perspective, it made it so much more fun. I'm not going to give away where they are or anything like that. There's just a few of them. And if you don't like real-time event stuff, you're probably not. I'm not a huge fan of it. But in this case, they were just so darn fun to do. Control schemes I should touch on. One of the best parts about this first-person shooter is you have multiple different control schemes. You have the Classic Controller Pro, a GameCube controller, and the Wii Remote Nunchuck. I am a Wii Remote Nunchuck fan. You are?
What do I use?
You use the Classic Controller Pro, which we got the Golden Classic Controller Pro edition, which is very nice. If you were a big PS2 guy.
Yes, this was much easier for me.
It is almost exactly like the PS2.
Yeah.
Me, I am not a very big analog. I grew up on a PC playing first-person shooters, so I am not a big analog stick first-person shooter fan. To me, the Wii Remote and Nunchuck gives me more pixel perfect. But this is a good thing, because that means multiple people with different control styles can play this game and find something they like. The only thing that I don't like about the Wii Remote Nunchuck is I have to shake the Nunchuck to do a melee attack. Kind of hard to remember in multiplayer matches. So other than that, I enjoy it immensely. Do you find any discrepancies with your Classic Controller Pro, or do you think it's pretty smooth for you?
It's pretty smooth for the most part. I've only ran into a couple occasions where the buttons don't work the way I want, but I like it.
Oh, okay. Moving on. I think I covered everything. Anything you think you want to con about single player?
The single player?
Or have you covered everything?
I would have liked a few more levels.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I would have liked.
It was a little short, a little bit longer than most Call of Duty campaigns.
Yes, it is. I liked that.
And like I mentioned before, there is some replay value. The higher the difficulty, the more objectives you get. And so if you want to just go back and get the objectives you missed before, so there is that as well.
And they do add, because I've been trying to go back through on the higher difficulties, they add objectives as each difficulty goes up.
Now, I haven't played as much of the higher difficulties as you probably have. Does the AI get a little tougher, or is it about the same?
I haven't run into any more difficult. It seems to be about the same.
Okay, well. All right, moving on. Split-screen multiplayer, pros and cons. Now, I did a difference between the split-screen multiplayer, the local multiplayer, and the online, because there's two completely different things in a way. Not completely different, but you get different modes, and you get there's a different variety.